Right. So, milk in a wine glass questionnaire. So it's based on Marcel Proust, who took that questionnaire in writing at 3 stages of his life. Mm-hmm. But Bernard Pivot added that in his apostrophe show at the end, and James Lipton, obviously, in the inside the actor's studio. So, for our lovely guests, what is your favorite word?
Would you like to go first?
No.
Okay. I have loads because I do quite like the English language. Pumpernickel is a fantastic word because it's just lovely to wrap your vowel sounds around. It's difficult because I understand that you want a definitive answer, but it's very difficult for me to say one. I think, pumpernickel is a fantastic word. It's great. And nobody ever, Verdimillion as well is a fantastic word because everybody expects it to be green, I think, but it's not. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why, but everybody else said, what colour's Verdimillion? Say, oh, it's green. So, no, it's not. It's red. I quite like them words, but I don't really know. What about you?
I like Scottishy slang words because they remind me of my dad. One of my favourites is fusty or fushty, depending on how you pronounce it, which is if something's growing or mouldy or kind of gross. Words like that describe what something is better than an English word.
Rocket.
Yeah.
Oh, you absolute rocket, your wee weapon.
And I'm loving learning Glasgow slang because some of it is interesting.
However, okay, no, I would like to change my answer, sir. I would like to submit the word of wit because wit is the best word in any language ever because it means a billion different things depending on the inflection, the context, everything you can think of. Okay. It means, and I love that. It's such a universally accepted word. Or
how Glaswegians use the word how, meaning why.
Oh, I
love that.
But that comes from how come because they said it a lot in Oban as well. But how is such a common phrase in my ear.
Adam does that.
Yeah, I think it's more rural influences. I don't know honestly, but I think it's more rural influences because it's definitely, especially on the west coast, Oban area.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Everything was quite rounded out, so it's how no brown cow. But how was the common question. But I think it just comes from how come.
Fair. Yeah, I think any word that is used colloquially that isn't its original meaning, I find beautiful. That very satisfying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
What is your least favourite word?
I really don't know. It's something difficult that you can think about. Context-wise, I don't want to interrupt.
No, you go.
Context-wise, I think it's when people reject the thing that they've said at the start of the sentence. So it's buts and howevers and alsos and all these different things. It's I'm not racist, but, or it's I'm going to have this massive speech about equality, but I don't think women should be paid as much. It's always different things like this. I think it's a contextual thing, maybe.
It's a cushion before.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a cushion. In some situations, I think it's actually quite funny though, because especially when you kind of bring it back to acting and theatre and things like that, that kind of delayed punchline that almost you can feel it coming. I quite like the feeling of that though, but it's difficult. I think context has a lot of things to do with it, especially in Scotland, especially swear words are more a colloquial thing, especially in Glasgow. Swearing's I think Billy Connolly talks about this perfectly, but it's part of the language and the way that you have to say something. It's not meant in an offensive way. It's meant as punctuation or to embellish and things like that. But saying a swear word in a different context would be awful and you should never say it. And you're I think the C-bomb is always something.
Oh, not necessary.
I know. I think some people deal with that quite a lot. You wouldn't say it to your grandma, but you might say it to your best mate, and it's difficult. Yeah.
No, I think I don't like people being too crass if it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. So I have no issue correcting them. But in terms of least favourite words, probably a slippery, but not about something that is slippery, describing someone or something that isn't normally slippery as being slippery. Uh-huh. Using those kind of words.
In the same way as, say, moist.
Yeah.
Moist, not so much, because I like cake. So
cake.
Moist doesn't bother me. But yeah, along those kind of lines, something that kind of describes something liquidy attached to an object.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't usually be associated.
Fair enough.
That way.
Creatively, spiritually, or emotionally, what turns you on?
Generosity, definitely.
Ooh.
Somebody who is a likable person, or somebody who it's just understanding with the position that they're in and seeing, can I use my position that I'm in to help somebody else out? And that doesn't necessarily come from somebody from a higher position of power helping out somebody in a position of a lower power or status. It doesn't really matter. I think generosity is something that a lot in the Scottish industry is really integral to it. I feel that it's a lot of... It's definitely in there. It seems to be at the heart of the Scottish industry, at least, that people seem to be saying... Like, I mean, you were saying earlier on, like somebody dropped out of the sex, drugs, and a cup of tea.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, great, I know somebody who can help me out. Like, I've got roles because somebody said, oh, fantastic, James would be good for this role. And they've said to the director, oh, why don't you audition him? And I've done it for other people as well. And it's just, obviously, you can't force a 6'9" blonde-haired guy into a role which is casting a 4'2" brunette person, girl. But be as generous as you can, be as loving as you can. I think that really, really boils down. So generosity is definitely something that is fantastic. I love.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah, I would agree. And for me, integrity, I find that in every sphere of life. I think if you can be someone who keeps your integrity as much as you can as being like a normal person. In terms of working, in terms of transparency in how you work and what you stand for and how you won't compromise that, I think for me, that's
Cool. In the same type of fields, what turns you off?
jealousy would be mine.
Yeah.
It's like an opposite, because I think I'm really prone to it. And it's something in me that I don't like, and I just have to work on. And it's so, like, jealousy and comparison, I think, are the main two, because they just steal a lot of your joy with, like, the people you're around, or, like, people you could get on with, but just because you're jealous or angry about it. Yeah, I think that's mine.
Like, lack of compassion. And I think it feeds into what you were saying before as well about integrity, that being understanding and being empathetic of somebody is different from allowing yourself to be abused by somebody. That if somebody is, in the context of the acting industry, if somebody shows up to rehearsal late day after day after day because they're just being a bit of a dick, that doesn't feed into it. But if somebody's being late day after day after day for a legitimate reason, like it's for a legitimate reason. Like, and I think people who aren't compassionate or who don't understand that, who don't make concessions, and it's different. Like, concessions need to be made on both a personal level and a professional level in this industry, but you can't let that affect your integrity or the way you want to treat somebody else. And it very much comes down to, like, if I was put in their position, would I act really any different from their acting, really? Like, I probably wouldn't. Like, you need to understand that. But people who just blazon through, or who try to interrupt you, like almost like discount your ideas, or I think it's something that a lot of people feel, especially like somebody like mansplaining, or it's, an example of it, I guess. But that's something that I hate a lot. Especially when you're trying to make a good point and you're really, really excited about something, and then somebody interrupts you to talk about a completely different subject, like we were saying before. Like, it really, really frustrates me. I'm just like, mate, like, I was saying something really interesting, actually. Why are you interrupting me? So, yeah, lack of compassion.
Remember, don't shout.
Sorry.
No, that's for what's coming. What is your favorite curse word?
Do you want us to like whip out some Skyrim stuff? I don't know. Like, again, it feeds into context. To be honest, like, in some elements, I think like F-bombs and C-bombs and things like that can actually be used to good comedic effect in some sense. But yeah, why not? Like, a good old C-bomb is not, like, in the right element.
You can say it.
Yeah. No, my mum won't watch me. No.
No, we want to make money. We want to be friendly on the YouTube.
We want to be friendly. No, like, generally, like, Billy Connolly said it correctly. Like, if you call somebody a fucking weapon, they're a fucking weapon. Like, there's no other way of explaining it.
Absolute unit.
Yeah, like absolute unit, things like that. Like, but then again, like I also really like Victorian swear words as well, where like I like look them up because it's a fantastic fun-filled afternoon. But like bread sheath,
To be fair, you could make a fun game of is it a Victorian swear word or not?
Yeah.
That'd be a great game.
That's a
so like, oh, guinea fowl.
like, are you zamboozled? Like that, zamboozled is actually a swear word in the Victorian way.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, like I love those things, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm very sorry, but probably an F word in some context.
Some context.
Some context of very pleasing to the ear.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favourite. I have a favourite like phrase that I probably use instead of swearing, which is "get in the bin."
Oh, lovely.
Nice. Which I probably have to credit to my school friend Bevan. We used to say it when we were in high school to people.
Did you bin people a lot?
Well, I feel like it probably was to do with
Shove
that.
people in bins.
So yeah, get in the bin is probably my equivalent of a favourite swear word.
That's a good phrase.
I mean, you're welcome
I
to.
like that.
And if
I
you're
like
quite
the phrase a
Scottish,
lot.
it's like get in the bin.
Get in the bin, mate.
You can, and again, it's like you're saying about different. The way you say it has different possibilities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it could be if someone's been really successful and they're like, oh yeah, I've just like gotten my dream job, and you're like, oh, get in the bin. Yeah, it's quite nice for that as well.
It's lovely.
What sound or noise do you dislike?
Dislike.
Or like first.
Oh, like, okay.
Wait, did we do? Is there least favorite swear word? Did we do that?
No, there is no.
There is none.
I thought there was a least favorite swear word
Crap.
question.
There you go. There's the least favourite crap word. Like, because
Why? It's so useful.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
it is, but it sounds like crab. Like, it's just no. Like,
Sorry.
least favourite,
It
sorry.
wasn't
I'll carry on. But to answer your question, instead of crap, either something like wind blowing on a tent or like raindrops falling on a tent when you're camping. Like, I always really love that smell. There you go. I always love that sound.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
It always makes you feel cozy, even if you're cold. Like, you're usually like in a sleeping bag, or like, it's such an emotive sound for me. It's nice.
Mine is an orchestra tuning up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, just like that idea of like, oh, something's beginning or something's about to happen, and yeah, it makes me think of like being in the theatre when I was younger, or like performing with orchestras and stuff. So yeah,
A good old middle C.
oh yeah. But just, you know, when it like, once they've done that, like they've gone through the stages of going through their actual tuning, and then they just do their little bits, and there's lots of like little drum noises and a few strings and a there.
Yeah, and you always get that flautist or the violinist who just wants to have just a wee solo to
Yeah, so
themselves.
there's
in the tune.
like yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love that moment.
Cool.
And dislike?
That's really difficult, I guess. The sound of somebody clearing their throat when they've got a really bad cold. But like right in your ear. Like in like public, people need to cough. Fair enough. Like, you can't stifle like bodily functions. But like when you're like lying down, or you're sitting with a friend and they're just like hacking something up, and you're like, mate, do you mind not like gone in or
Hacking something.
hacking something up? Like I don't know, like.
You can hear the phlegm in their throat.
Like, I understand that you're going through a process of bodily function. However, I do not need to hear every single process.
Trust the process, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Mine would be, you know, when glasses come out of a dishwasher and then you like put your hand on them and they make that like weird squeaky.
Oh yeah,
Because they're like hot and dry, but
Yeah.
also yeah.
that kind of dull, kind of.
No.
That was
Yeah.
the original version of Katy Perry's "Hot and Cold." You're hot and you're dry.
Because you're hot and you're dry.
You're stuck together
Yeah.
Beautiful.
like a cup in a dishwasher.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Or not? And not?
I would, well, weddings are a big thing in my life. And I used to work as a waitress at them, and would be really keen to be a bridal stylist at some point. I just find it very interesting, the whole kind of wedding industry. So yeah, that would be anything medical would be on my not list. Although if I was born as a different person, I would love to have been a midwife, but that is not within my capabilities. I would just faint. But yeah, anything medical, don't count me in for that.
I think as an actor, it really helps you that part of what I love about acting is that I can do every job, like theoretically. I mean, arguably something like a CSI or a detective, something like that could be really, really interesting, I believe. But then obviously there is a horrible element to it. But I think it would be really interesting. Surgeon as well. But I think like very much that, yeah, no, like it's that if I went into surgery, I'd have to be incredibly dedicated to it. Like, I'd have to be the very, very best I could possibly be. I quite like that, an element that I think it's romanticized a lot in media, but ultimately you are helping somebody very, very directly. I quite like that. So probably surgeon or something along those lines would probably be a fairly interesting thing for me to do.
And not.
If judging by ACS standards, a cleaner or a dishwasher.
Yeah, that's true.
Shade.
That's true. No,
did you ever get around to cleaning the tomato soup, or is it still there?
No, I did actually.
No, I bet that was me.
No, I just did like months and months and months of like 15 to 16 hour days doing all of that to pay for ACS. So I think like I'd probably done about a year's worth of dishwashing in the first month of me going to my first job. So maybe I was out of practice. I don't know. But yeah, like I don't know. It's really difficult there because I think you should try and do any job and any experience because it's always going to give you something to learn from.
But it's like your life's work.
Yeah, it is.
Like your career-wise.
I'm trying to think then. It's something boring, honestly. Like data inputter or like admin. Like, granted, like they are such an integral part of any job. However, I have no enjoyment in it. And it's not, it's a job, it's not a career. Like things like a surgeon or an actor or a doctor or a writer or things like that. There are careers, the things that you can love doing. But I don't understand somebody who can love being a secretary, like, or love being a data inputter for a big company.
They usually want money and security in a family rather than...
Yeah, it's sacrificing enjoyment and job for security and job. And I completely understand and I respect a lot of people who do that. But it's just not something that I'd want to do.
Did you give the one you don't want?
Yeah, I don't want to do anything medical.
Yeah.
Please, no.
No,
I mean,
medical.
I was working at an event and it was a knee surgeon conference that was in. So they had
Lovely.
like all these almost virtual reality things where you could like pretend to do the keyhole surgery. And we were doing this like lunch for these fancy surgeon guys, and this guy was giving a presentation, and like some of the footage came up of like
knee surgery,
and my face was just like. And these guys turned around and saw me and started laughing at me because I couldn't deal with this knee surgery. But I found surgeons so weird because there was like hundreds of them in this big hall and we'd just given them lunch and they're sat eating their sandwiches watching surgery. And I'm just like, what is wrong with your brain?
Yeah,
that you can consume food and watch a body being changed.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I think it's
odd.
because like their job is to stare at somebody's open wound for 17 hours straight without a break.
It's also they're used to doing it.
Yes, of course, and I get like I do understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm so thankful people can do that, but it's definitely not going to be me.
No.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
If God exists, what would you like to hear her say when you arrived at the pearly gates?
I don't know. It's difficult. Like honestly, I'd like there to be lots of like arts and music and creative things because like it's nice to think about that if you do believe in that type of thing, which I very much do, it's nice to think about the other people or the other beings that would be there. And I think that's something that I've always kind of questioned is would it be just a human heaven or would it be a heaven with all beings of any different planet or anything like else out there? Because like yes, we have like Beethoven and Prince and Robert Burns and all these different people who are like all you would suspect being there because they're such wonderful creative people. But then you've also got like Zalixar 9X who's the alien who you've never ever heard of but is also like an absolute brilliant guy. Like so like in terms of God it'd be like what would you like a ticket to see next? Probably. Like that's probably the first thing I'd like to hear him say. Be like, all right, what do you want to come see? You know, we've got loads of things happening. It's a wonderful thing. It's a happy place, I guess.
Good question. I do believe in God. I'm a Christian and I'm off to church after this actually. So it's something I think about a lot, but I don't think I really mind whatever God says whenever that day comes. But there was this one talk I was at once and the person said that it'll be when you get to heaven, you'll say, oh, with an air of, now I understand. And I feel like I would be very happy if that's what happened.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people feel. And like, because you get these students who like, again, surgeons, who try to basically like medically die and then medically then bring themselves back to life again to see if they saw anything about anything.
Okay.
Like, but that kind of, I don't know if it's selfish, but that kind of realization of like actually understanding what's going on is the pursuit of most human beings.
Yeah. But I don't think that's a thing for like now. I think that's time for,
exactly. I completely agree with you. Yeah, like
good quote about heaven here. If there are no dogs in heaven, then when I die, I want to go where they went. Will Rogers.
Aww.
So if God says there's no dogs here, I'm like, oh well, see you later, mate. I'm off.
Cheers, pal. Bye.
If you were reincarnated as some other plant or animal, what would it be?
Griffin.
10 points.
So you want to be? You
that
want
was
to
so
be?
fast.
You want to be? You want to be in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece? Then,
Aye.
Fair enough.
Griffin, hippogriff.
I feel like I
Salamander?
can't pick because I like having consciousness of my being. So the thought of being anything that wasn't really aware of what it really was, or like having conscious thought, I would be a bit.
You don't want to be like a Kafka story, basically.
Beetle with a human brain.
Metamorphosis.
I think something that'd be quite interesting is if you believe in reincarnation and you could carry on being reincarnated to different things, I'd like to try and be reincarnated as the biggest being that has consciousness itself and understands what is going on, and then the smallest being that has and seeing how that differs in some ways, because I'd actually be quite interested if I could retain the memories from the different lifetimes. I think that'd be fantastic.
I honestly thought you meant like size-wise. I was like,
no.
he wants to be the biggest thing in the world.
I do.
The smallest thing in the world.
No, I do. No, I want to be like a billion-foot tall random.
I want to come back as that giant cow in Australia, the absolute unit, the 6 foot tall cow.
Aye, that one. Like, but then also like the tiny little bacteria that
Blue whale.
Aye, yeah.
If you had the opportunity to go and view any culture from the past, like if you were completely invisible with a Babel fish and walked around amongst the Romans or cave people or Native Americans before the Europeans came, who would you choose?
Something that people don't maybe know all that much about, like the Mayans or the tribes like in Africa who like still don't really believe white people exist, like all these different things. Like, but back like when they first were kind of coming out the origins, I think that'd be fascinating.
Is it Africa or Asia? Not Asia. Africa or South America. There are places on the map that we haven't been yet. I think it is Africa. There are places in Africa that we haven't been yet.
Yeah, like. And the ocean floor as well. I mean, if I can breathe underwater, then I would like to go down to prehistoric and be able to see prehistoric,
like the Minoan Empire from Greece that sank.
Yeah, and all these different things. But then also like other animals, so like seeing like prehistoric fishes and beings and sea mammals and all these different things. I think it'd be really interesting because I think knowledge is very much power, but then it's also really interesting. Like I love learning about random facts and random things and having random bad pub quiz knowledge is always fantastic. But yet to answer, probably one of the tribes in Africa who even to this day we really don't know all that much about, because I'd be really, really fascinated to see what their lives actually like and what's kind of going on there.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
I don't think I want to go too far back. I think I'd like to know something about kind of in the last 200 years to kind of know more about how we're in the position we're in.
Yeah, okay.
And like, is it really that different, or have we all been making the same mistakes in a loop? Or I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see like patterns of life from not that long ago. Because it's not really, because you know when you're in school you like think about the Egyptians or like all this.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of history seems to cast our mind back to either too long ago or too near. As you either focus on like the world wars. Or you focus on the Egyptians, like, and there seems to be like a bit of a gap in between,
and just like how fast our like world has changed in like kind of recent history in terms of like plumbing and like industrialization and like I find technology. Yeah, so
can you go forwards in time? Because that'd be quite useful.
We haven't even thought about that. That's a new question.
Yeah. With which theatre company would you really like to work?
Oh God.
Payne's Plough.
Oh God, yes.
I love them, but I'm so sad because they're just, I mean, I love what they do, but they work a lot with like Northern English and Welsh companies, which I think is great. But I would love them. Please come to Scotland and work with us. I think they're great. I love their stuff.
Yeah, damn.
Yes, you can take that too.
I know, like Payne's Plough is fantastic to work with.
Or Emma Rice. If Wise Children if you need someone to lick your envelopes and put stamps on them, give this girl a call because I love her.
Nice.
Definitely. I mean, creative people is what the industry thrives on. I think you need to find somebody you can work with properly. I think that's what you did well, which is nice, that you actually worked with, like, who can we work with? Can we actually do our job that we want to do properly and in a way where we actually like working in that environment? And anybody who's going to be able to provide that in a company is perfect to work with. I think Pain's Power definitely do that a lot, as far as I've been aware. Because I was quite lucky. I did a lot of different theatre and musical theatre and stuff when I was younger. Like, it was like seeing that from like a child's point of view, and then understanding maybe now what the adults were thinking in that same situation. I think it was quite interesting to look back on.
Okay, 2 bonus questions from Adam and Anouk now.
Nick, you got one?
Oh, me? I forgot about that I existed.
Do we really exist?
All right, Descartes.
What came first, the horse or the cart? Oh, goodness. I don't know. Adam, go first.
No, you go first.
Oh, no.
I always go first. Then you go first, Jane.
I can't think, though. I know that, Mari, you do some like producing and directing, but is there any other part of the acting world that you'd really like to kind of pursue more than being in front of the camera or audience?
So I do direct and stuff, which I'm very passionate about, but actually I'm trying really hard to learn more about the technical side of theatre at the moment. Just from kind of like a personal standpoint of wanting to not piss people off. I've been in a lot of rehearsal and production rooms where the director or whoever is kind of taking hold of a technical rehearsal doesn't know how to communicate properly, or like just, I mean, not even on a personal level, but just like not really know what they're talking about. And also I just find it really interesting. Like, I've ended up doing a lot of tech because I can pick bits of it up quite easily, and I've been trying to learn more and like pick technical workshops more. So yeah, the technical side of things, particularly like lights and sound, would be me.
Like, I have a 2-part thing. Like, directing, definitely, and then also producing, because I would like to be able to understand producing a little bit more, to understand really the process behind different levels of producing. So producing something at like a regional, then a national, then an international, and then like a proper worldwide stage. I think there'd be very, very different processes. I mean, directing is definitely something I want to get into more, because I feel that my directing style will be quite open. I feel that I always work really well with directors who are a bit like that. They're like, they have a very clear idea in their head of exactly what they want to do, but they actually explain what's happening. I love about people actually trusting you and giving you the respect to say, this is why we're doing it. And granted, sometimes you don't always have time to justify every single thing that you're doing as a director or as an actor or as a technician or anything like that. But directing is something that I definitely like to get into more, as well as acting, as well as producing. Because I think there's a lot of, like, I can make a difference to other people. Like, I can say, like, I'm going to be a really good director in this piece, because I'm going to make all of my actors and the people I'm working with feel really confident about what they're doing, and like they actually know what the hell's going on, and they really love the piece that they're working with. So yeah, directing is definitely something.
Cool.
That'll be it.
Tell me a joke.
Oh God. You always put me in the spot.
I've never done that before, but I quite like that. I might end every question by going, tell us a joke.
Tell us a joke.
That's the whole point.
Any joke.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know loads of really bad ones.
Not just a bad one works, a pun one works.
Okay.
It's anything.
Right. Okay. I'm quite good at like in the moment puns. Okay. There's a classic of what is spherical, green but invisible.
I don't know.
This cabbage.
Oh my.
There you go. Do you like that? That's one of the OG jokes.
I mean, that joke works really well for an audio podcast.
It's fantastic. I love it. I love it so much.
Mari, you got one?
I really don't think I can improve on that.
Come on, any joke.
I really am not. You're a funny joke person at all.
Thank you.
If I think one, I'll call it in. I'll be like, 2 a.m. Hey, Adam.
I thought it was a joke. Hi. I'm trying to think.
I'm more of a sarcastic person, which I think means I'm not that intelligent. But no, it's fine. I own it. I like being sarcastic, but I wouldn't quite sound haha funny.
It's plugging time. France.
Scotland.
England.
Scotland.
Scotland.
Go, go, podcast rangers. Mighty plug-in podcast rangers. Go, go, podcast rangers. Mighty plug-in podcast rangers. So, Mary and James, do you have anything to plug, a short film or a full length you're in right now? Something at the Fringe in a few months? Anything?
I'm in a couple of different movies, doing lots of tours around different film festivals at the moment, which is really good fun. I've been quite successful with one of my films called Ineffable in America, and it seems to be doing a lot of different ones, like all around Utah and Los Angeles and Washington. So if you do see anything advertised on Facebook or Film Freeway or anything about Ineffable, then please give it a like and give it a watch. I've actually got one that's getting shown at Pinewood Studios. That's getting shown at Pinewood, which is really fantastic. But like, people need to like go in and watch it and vote on it. So if you want to help me out, it's free to do. You can just go on and say, yeah, that's fantastic. Like, then please do. It's lovely.
Will do.
Great. So lockdown will hopefully be on at the Fringe. Still TBC on where we are, but keep an eye out. And I'm working on some other projects which are a bit secret, but keep an eye May June time for my name being on Facebook and stuff.
Cool.
And Short Attention Span Theatre, they're based in Glasgow and Edinburgh. They do new writing pieces with new writers who are trying to get plays together. So it's usually like 6 15-minute shows. They're doing some David Bowie stuff this month, some stuff for the comedy festival. So keep an eye for them. They're really great. And it's like £5 a ticket. And Whodunit Events are a murder mystery company who are doing things like Murder on the Titanic around Valentine's Day and Don't Kill the Bride this summer. So there you go.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Great.
Do you have social media to share with the world?
Yeah,
Where can people see you?
Instagram is at Mary_Davidson. Mary spelled Mairi. And the same on Twitter.
Cool. I'm really, really simple in this sense. I am James_Kane_ on Twitter. Capitalized J and capitalized K. I'm James Kane on Facebook. If you ever see me on different like gaming consoles and things like that, I'm Joker12JK, and you'd be surprised. This is fantastic. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time.
1v1 on Rust.
But seriously, it is so fun. Like, the amount of random stuff that you hear on these, talking to random people around the world. So hit me up. I'm Joker12JK on Snapchat as well. So slide into my DMs at 2 a.m. and go, you still up, babe?
Oh my.
Love it.
You've just opened
And
the
on
gateway to hell.
on that lovely note,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to say goodbye now. So we were
Adam.
Anouk.
Mary.
James.
and Yann. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast. If you like what you heard, you can leave us a review via iTunes. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Good, Bad, Standard Podcast on both platforms. If you fancy seeing the live streams that we talk about on the podcast, they can be found on youtube.com. You search for Milk in a Wineglass. There are other bits and bobs on there too, just to see what Yann's up to during the week. And if you really like us, really like us, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/goodbadstandardpodcast and have a look if you want to support us. Any small donation is appreciated.